Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. We've had quite an eventful few days. The biggest news of this moment is the request from President Trump that we all start tweeting out the Obamagate hashtag. Although it was not necessarily worded like that, I think the implication was clear. It has risen and fallen over the course of the last day or so. Twitter is actively suppressing it. 2 million tweets or so have been removed in the last couple of hours, but it continues to rise, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about Obamagate itself. What does that mean? Well, there is plenty to put under that moniker. President Trump has been speaking out about it. He went on quite the tirade earlier. Also, we're going to be talking about the initial leak of the Flynn-Kislyak phone call. That was now confirmed to be to someone named Adam Entos, who we've spoken about on the program before. We're also going to be talking about the reaction from Obama to the incoming administration, which is certainly a large part of the Obamagate scandal. We're also going to be touching on the Durham investigation, the fact that it's moving ahead full throttle. And finally, we're going to be talking about another part of the Obamagate scandal, which was the Fast and Furious debacle. Mexico has officially asked for an investigation, and they have reiterated that today. So please, everyone, do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. In recent reports, criminals are now using American citizens' social security numbers, home addresses, and other personal information to steal their stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. The scale of the fraud has been enormous, fueled by the recent pandemic and the confusion surrounding the $2 trillion stabilization plan that President Donald Trump unveiled last month. It's becoming more obvious how smart it is to protect yourself from an identity attack. IdentiSafe offers identity protection for as low as $9.99 a month. They provide access to credit monitoring, dark web scans, 24/7 identity agent support, real-time credit notifications, social security monitoring, full dark web scans, change of address alerts, personal identity monitoring, white glove restoration, credit monitoring, credit score tracking, a full credit report, up to $1 million in insurance, and there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. I personally use and trust IdentiSafe to protect myself and my family's identities. So don't delay, sign up today, it's free for 30 days, and plus they have that 30-day money-back guarantee. And right now they're offering a 20% off discount to new members in respect to the recent crisis. To redeem this coupon, please visit protectwithredpill.com. Once again, that's www.protectwithredpill.com. The link is in the description, and remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today we're looking at post 4199. It was put out yesterday, and it includes a couple of different things. We've got the initial post from an anon, asking our favorite anon to have President Trump post an Obamagate-related tweet. Well, 2 hours after this request was put out, President Trump obliged us, and it began a landslide of hashtags using this phrase right here, Obamagate. Now remember, you can't spell Obamagate without the MAGA. But millions of patriots used it over the course of the last 24 hours or so. Our favorite anon lets us know that yes, in fact, this was for anons. President Trump did that in response to that ask right there on the boards. Now here I found this tweet from Eric Zamudins, and it shows that Twitter had removed approximately 2 million tweets from this hashtag. Absolutely can't hide from this. There are not 2 million bots tweeting this out. Now at the time that he screen capped it, it was about 3.37 million tweets. Now if we take a look at the current status of it, they do have it listed still under trending topics for me, but it's only at 1.33 million. Now earlier today while filming Quarantine with Methods, I actually watched it drop by about 1 million tweets at that time. Now you can see that the libs are trying to get hashtag Trumpgate trending. It is slowly climbing, and you can bet they're not going to suppress that no matter how many bots are putting it out, but it is nowhere near the Obamagate tweets that we are seeing right now. I encourage anyone who has a Twitter account to continue to put this out and use it, because it is most certainly the greatest scandal of the modern political age. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what President Trump had to say earlier today. So everyone watching by now is well aware of the fact that the DOJ has dropped those charges against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, a 33-year combat veteran who served his country proudly and bravely. The case against him was based on nothing. It was essentially fabricated from holdovers left over from the Obama era. And then on Thursday, ODNI Rick Grinnell dropped off a trove of documents. And then there was an additional trove of documents that was brought in. Now, there is some speculation that the information in that second trove of documents had to do specifically with the former president.
How high up did all of this go in the Obama administration? Rick Grinnell, I want to show the video. I was tipped off yesterday that he was headed to the Justice Department late yesterday afternoon. He's got a satchel in his hand. I'm told there are documents in there he was bringing to the Attorney General, William Barr. We don't know exactly what's in there, but there are people around this case suggesting that maybe as the acting DNI, Rick Grinnell has seen some documents that suggest Sally Yates and others were saying privately that Barack Obama knew about a lot of this with Michael Flynn a lot earlier than we know. What do you know? What do you think's in there?
Yeah, look, I don't know either. Let's hope they all get to the bottom of this. That is what John Durham has been charged to do by the Attorney General of the United States. So, look, we expect some completion of that investigation this summer, and we look forward to seeing it. But as I said before, I hope they give Jim Comey another good look because, again, he was the guy in charge. He was the guy, as Bill Barr said a year ago, he was the head of this upper echelon of the FBI where there was a failure of leadership. It all goes to Jim Comey. So let's hope they figure all this out. What I also want to know is, when did they first learn about these documents relating to Michael Flynn? Did they know about this before the midterm election in 2018? And if they did, why wasn't that made public? Why did they wait? Why did it wait this long? Where's Chris Wray been in this process? Why didn't we have this information in a much more timely fashion?
Yeah. Now, whatever is included in there, it is supposed to have more evidence that is extremely damaging to the last administration and to the people that attempted to take down General Flynn and undoubtedly President Trump as well. Now, George Papadopoulos announced earlier that this week is going to be rocking the world, and you can bet that we're probably going to see some big booms coming out. And on Monday, this morning, President Trump went after his predecessor as well. This time, he said Obamagate makes Watergate look small time, which obviously it definitely does. And then President Trump unloaded with another tweet responding to MZ Hemingway on Twitter. She said, "Why did Obama tell the FBI to hide its activities from Trump?" And it's an article from The Federalist. President Trump responds, "Because it was Obamagate, and he and Sleepy Joe led the charge. The most corrupt administration in U.S. history." It certainly was the most corrupt administration in U.S. history. Now, I want to take a look at that article from The Federalist because it goes into quite a bit of detail. All right, and here is that article from The Federalist that President Trump retweeted from MZ Hemingway. It's entitled, "Why Did Obama Tell the FBI to Hide Its Activities from the Trump Administration?" Now, back in 1980, the daughter of outgoing President Jimmy Carter left a burnt cake inside the White House's family quarters. It was kind of a bit of revenge. Well, the way that the Obama administration handled the Trump administration as they were coming in is kind of along the same lines, only this time they left a Russia collusion hoax, which we've been dealing with for the last several years. Now, remember, in July of 2016, the FBI officially opened up its Crossfire Hurricane investigation, but they did not tell the Trump administration what was going on. It was a covert operation. They were looking at President Trump's actions. They were looking at the associations of people within his orbit. They were looking specifically at Lieutenant General Michael Flynn because everybody knows Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. Michael Flynn spoke out about a lot of things during his tenure under the Obama administration, and he left under less than favorable circumstances. Now, in January of 2017, that was when that infamous Oval Office meeting took place where Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, FBI Director James Comey, Clowns in America Director John Brennan, and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper briefed President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and National Security Advisor Susan Rice on all these Russia-related issues. Just about 2 weeks later, on January 20th, Susan Rice wrote that email to herself. This was on Trump's inauguration day and her last day inside the White House. Now, she was summarizing the meeting in that email, and she said on January 5th, following a briefing by IC leadership on Russian hacking during the 2016 presidential election, President Obama had a brief follow-on conversation conversation with FBI Director Comey, Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates in the Oval Office. Vice President Biden was present, and I was also present. She continues that President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. She then added that from a national security perspective, however, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming team, we are mindful to ascertain if there is any reason we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. Now, if there really was a Russian spy inside the Trump transition team, why would it be that President Obama and his team would not want to share that intelligence with the incoming administration? Obama even went so far as to suggest that the people who were staying on in the new administration, people like Sally Yates and Jim Comey, continue to inform about the activities going on inside that new administration. And rather than direct his team to provide a presidential briefing on the Russia investigation as it related to Flynn, Obama suggested it would be appropriate to withhold such information from the Trump administration. And then later the next day, that's exactly what James Comey did. Rather than briefing on what was happening with Flynn or briefing on the dossier itself, he went into Trump Tower and essentially briefed President Trump only on the salacious details of that uncorroborated information within that dossier, effectively looking to blackmail President Trump or control him in some way if he could. And of course, James Comey forgot to mention to President Trump that there actually was an FBI-led investigation into him and the people in his orbit, specifically Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Even after President Trump was inaugurated, Comey remained adamant that President Trump not be briefed on the details of Flynn's call with the Russian ambassador, and then broke every protocol to preempt Yates's directive that he inform the White House of the conversation by sending agents to interview Flynn in the West Wing of the White House on January 24th of 2017. Of course, they also neglected to inform President Trump about the investigation into Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and there could even be others out there that we haven't found out about yet. They went so far as to fake FISA warrants. They went so far as to fake the renewals. They forgot to mention that there was exculpatory evidence which would have precluded their ability to even get these FISA warrants. And when it all comes down to it, the reason they did this stuff is because Obama told them to do it. Obama has been acting as the shadow president from outside the White House ever since President Trump came in. Let's go take a look at something else. Now in Post 4200, Technofog has revealed in a tweet that the initial Flynn-Kislyak leak did not go to David Ignatius. It went to a Washington Post reporter named Adam Enthouse. Adam Enthouse is someone we've spoken about here on the program before, and the leak came directly from sources who saw a transcript and described it to Enthouse. Now, please remember, we have Adam Enthouse's name because of his appearance in this Palpatine's Revenge chat log, which came from a Glyph chat. Glyph is just a platform used to send messages back and forth. But here it says it really has, Huck, didn't AEWP mention it when we gave him that tape? I believe that is referring directly to that transcript between Michael Flynn and Sergei Kislyak. And there is also included, just for reference, another article from the Federalist showing that Adam Enthouse was somebody who had received leaks in the past. Now, it says here at the end of the post, proof game chat logs discussions legitimate, sourced from closed-door transcripts. Now, up until this point, we believed that it was David Ignatius who was given the leaked information initially because he was the first to write about it. But at the time that he wrote about it, Adam Enthouse was working at the Washington Post. And now, with this information confirmed by our favorite Anon, with Adam Enthouse's name appearing in this Palpatine's Revenge chat log, I think we can say it's a pretty good chance. Now let's go ahead and take a look at an article from the Gateway Pundit which describes it. Now here, Gateway Pundit reporting on the developing situation that these initial Flynn-Kislyak transcript leaks did go to a Washington Post reporter, but it was Adam Enthouse. Now, it came directly, as we said, from sources who saw the transcript and then described it to Enthouse. Now, we initially thought that it was David Ignatius because on January 12th of 2017, Ignatius wrote about it. Now, this led to Flynn being fired as National Security Advisor in the incoming administration in February of 2017. 2017. Now, we don't know who exactly leaked that transcript to Enthouse, but we know that the leak itself occurred on January 5th of 2017, which just happened to be the same day that former President Barack Obama was reportedly briefed on the calls for then DNI James Clapper. Don't forget, we had that secret meeting between Barry, Joe, James, Sally, Susan, and John B. discussing General Flynn's phone calls with that Russian ambassador in that secret Oval Office meeting. So who is it that leaked the call to Enthouse? Now, Technofog continues. We suspect the Flynn-Kislyak leak occurred around 1/5/17, the same day that Barry was allegedly briefed on the call by Clapper. Now, this date coincides with Enthouse reporting on other intercepted communications from Russian officials, which were leaked to Enthouse. Let's go ahead and take a look at this screen cap. All right, now here is an article from Enthouse and Greg Miller on January 5th, and highlighted it says, U.S. officials who said that American intelligence agencies intercepted communications in the aftermath of the election in which Russian officials congratulated themselves on the outcome. So he's talking about intercepted communications. He has learned about it from U.S. officials. I think it sounds like a pretty fair bet that Adam Enthouse got that leak initially. Now, sources were whispering to Enthouse about mysterious communications between Flynn and Kislyak. However, to his credit, he didn't find it newsworthy. But a national security advisor designate talking to a Russian ambassador during the transition is not a crime, nor is it a story. But the leakers and liars in the former president's administration were working to frame Flynn, and it fit their narrative. Now, the story continues when on February 9th of 2017, it looks like Enthouse received some additional leaks, but since Enthouse didn't find it newsworthy, perhaps he was the one who gave it to Ignatius so that somebody could go ahead and write on it. I mean, we all know David Ignatius is pretty thirsty. On February 13th, in additional writing by Enthouse, a person familiar with the thoughts of Sally Yates said that Yates considered the intercepted call to be highly significant and potentially illegal. Remember, just recently, Sally Yates was quoted in her deposition as saying that it was actually Barry himself who told her about the fact that this call existed. So was Sally Yates or someone working for Sally Yates leaking this information on behalf of former President Barack Obama, considering that he orchestrated the whole thing at that secret meeting in the Oval Office before leaving the office of the president? I think that it seems very likely that the person who leaked this information did it on behalf of the president at that time. Now, since we're talking about the origin of this whole sordid affair, I think it's an adequate point to bring up the fact that John Durham's investigation is not moving into any kind of idle mode. It's actually in full throttle. Now, he is the one who is investigating the origins of this Russia probe, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, everything having to do with the coup that was designed to take down President Trump. And the closer he gets to the end, the closer he gets to Barry, which is the very genesis of the hashtag Obamagate. What we're looking at here, the Russia investigation, is Obamagate in and of itself. We had an outgoing president who did everything in their power to try to undermine the incoming administration and try to throw them under the bus, get them removed because of the massive corruption and criminality that was present in the last administration. Now, a handful of House Democrats want U.S. Attorney John Durham to just step aside. Now, the reason they want to get rid of John Durham is because he is moving ahead full throttle with his review into the origins of the investigation into the suspected Trump-Russia coordination in the 2016 election, and he's using additional top prosecutors involved in looking at different components of the original probe. He is expanding his investigation. Two sources have told Fox News that Jeff Jensen, who was the U.S. Attorney for Missouri, the one that Attorney General Bill Barr tapped with looking into the Michael Flynn investigation, is going to continue working, this time with John Durham's investigation, even after the DOJ's move last week to drop the case against Flynn. I think that they saw the work that Jeff Jensen did, and they know that he's going to be a valuable addition to Durham's team. And with that addition, it's going to be far more likely that they'll be able to get to the heart of Obamagate itself. Now, another source has also said that interim U.S. Attorney for D.C., which is Timothy Shea, he's also going to be assisting with components of the investigation. Our favorite Reverend Anon brought this next line to our attention in a post which we'll take a look at in a moment. It says, they farmed the investigation out because it's too much for Durham and he didn't want to be distracted. He's going full throttle and they're looking at everything. Of course, the Justice Department declined to comment on Jensen and Shea's involvement. Now, I don't think that Jensen and Shea are the only people involved in this investigation that are new on the team. We know that John Huber, his portion of the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, had something like 400 top prosecutors throughout the country. If that Huber investigation has been folded into the Durham investigation, then I would imagine that probably the good majority of that team are also working with Durham and his current investigation, and there's probably the opportunity for many more to be involved. Remember, we said on the show earlier, there's 169,000 sealed indictments now. So that's a lot of indictments that they're going to need to carry cases for. I would bet that they need hundreds and hundreds of prosecutors in order to get that taken care of adequately. And it's because of all of this that tensions are being flamed between Democrats in Congress and President Trump and his administration, his DOJ. The accusations are ramping up that Attorney General Bill Barr is somehow politicizing the investigation into Mike Flynn and that he needs to step down. We've had something like 2,000 former DOJ employees sign a petition asking for Bill Barr to step down. They slammed his decision in the Flynn case, but the truth of the matter is those 2,000 people are simply deep state people who are not happy with the job that's being done in America. Why? Because we're going to get to actual justice here in this country once again. It also continues further down saying that breadcrumbs were being dropped in the days preceding the decision that his case could be reconsidered. I believe that's also another nod to Anons. Now, Bill Barr also gave an interview with CBS News on Thursday, and he was asked whether he felt the FBI conspired to get Flynn fired from the Trump administration. He said, I think, that's a question that really has to wait for an analysis of all the different episodes that occurred throughout the summer of 2016 and the first several months of President Trump's administration. Also adding that Durham is still looking into all of this in reference to the Flynn case. Mark my words, friends, there will be charges that result from the treatment of General Flynn and, of course, from #Obamagate. He continues, this is one particular episode, but we view it as part of a number of related acts, and we're looking at the whole pattern of conduct, noting that they were investigating before and after the election. Now, a source said that that pattern of conduct Durham is investigating includes misrepresentations made to the FISA court to obtain warrants to surveil Trump campaign associate Carter Page. Barr talks to Durham every day, one source told Fox News. The president has been briefed that the case is being pursued and it's serious. Now, President Trump on Friday offered a vague but ominous warning as the Durham probe proceeds. He said it was a very dangerous situation what they did. These are dirty politicians and dirty cops and some horrible people, and hopefully they're going to pay a big price in the not too distant future. Now, Trump at that time was specifically referring to the newly released transcripts of those interviews from the House Intelligence Committee's Russia investigation, which of course revealed that top Obama officials acknowledged they knew of no empirical evidence of a conspiracy despite their concerns and suspicions. Why did they believe that? Because they were told to, because of Barry Obama, the very man at the top at the time, the shadow president, if you will. Now, the totality of Obamagate extends far beyond simply the Russia collusion investigation. With the current president of Mexico, Lopez Obrador, now calling for an apology or an investigation of the U.S.'s part played in this Fast and Furious operation, a video has now been found which shows that the president himself at that time actually had something to do with it. It wasn't just some rogue agents that tried to do a tracing program. This was something that apparently was very dear to that president's heart. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I want to discuss an issue that's very important to the president this morning. The steps we are taking on both sides of the border, working with our Mexican partners to support the Mexican government's campaign against the violent cartels and to reduce contraband in both directions across the border. Today, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano, Deputy Secretary of State Jim Steinberg, and U.S. Deputy Attorney General David Ogden will lay out the administration's comprehensive response to the situation along the border with Mexico, and we'll take a few questions.
Under the President's leadership and Together with the State Department and DHS, the Department of Justice stands ready to take the fight to the Mexican drug cartels. The President has directed us to take action to fight these cartels, and Attorney General Holder and I are taking several new and aggressive steps as part of the administration's comprehensive plan.
And that comprehensive step in relation to the President's directives was Fast and Furious itself. As a result of Fast and Furious, over 200 people lost their lives, both north and south of the border, and the disastrous results of the Fast and Furious program put dangerous weapons in the hands of very, very dangerous people. This is yet another facet of the Obamagate scandal, and I'm looking forward to seeing much more released as a result of these investigations. The ridiculous assertion that the renegade administration was scandal-free is laughable at best and criminal at worst. In fact, it was extremely criminal, and we are going to learn much more in the near future due to the amazing efforts of U.S. Attorney John Durham and his incredible team of top U.S. prosecutors working below him at the Department of Justice. Due to the things that Bill Barr has said recently, the things that the President has said recently, I think that everyone should feel very comfortable knowing that this will be fully investigated, and the crimes of the last presidential administration will fully be made public, and the ultimate justice shall be served. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, one more thing. It's Red Pill. I just want to say thank you once again to everybody that has helped to support the channel. If you'd like to get involved, you can go ahead and check the show notes in the pinned comment and the description. There's always good information in there. I've got a couple of backup channels. I ask that you go ahead and subscribe to them because if anything does happen here, I will start publishing there. And if you want things like merchandise or anything else, there is a bunch of information that you can find right below this video. All right, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.